Do we have quorum?
We do, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I'll now call the Board of Directors meeting to order. As a reminder, this meeting is being held as a virtual meeting with members of the board participating remotely. In addition, the meeting is being streamed live on the TRCA website. Electronic devices which emit a sound should be turned off or otherwise set to vibrate or silent. Please ensure your computer, mic, and sound are muted. And I want to remind the members to please ensure your cameras are turned on. The clerk will now conduct attendance and call out the names of each member.
Great, thank you. Good morning. Ainsley?
Present.
Ash?
Present.
Carol has sent in regrets. Demerla?
Present.
Thank you. Dies?
Present.
DePaula? Fletcher has sent in regrets. Fonseca? Grimes has sent in regrets. Han?
Present.
Thank you. Heath? Heath, I saw you here. I think you might have some difficulty with the speakers. Hyatt?
Present. Good morning.
Thank you. Ennis?
Present.
Okay. Jackson?
Present.
Kelleher? Layton? Mantis has sent in his regrets. Matlow?
Present.
Thank you. Mukherjee?
Present.
Thank you. Paleshi has sent in regrets. Pasternak?
Present.
Thank you. Pellegrini?
Present and greetings.
Thank you. Peruzza?
Present.
Thank you. Rosati has sent in regrets. Santos?
Present.
Thank you. Sinclair?
Present.
Thank you. And Tang has sent in regrets. Thank you.
Thank you. We respectfully acknowledge that we are situated on traditional territories and treaty lands, in particular those of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, as well as the Anishinaabe of the Williams Treaty First Nation, the Huron-Wendat, the Haudenosaunee, and the Métis Nation. As stewards of the land and water resources within the Greater Toronto Region, Toronto and Region Conservation Authority appreciates and respects the history and diversity of the land and is grateful to have the opportunity to work and meet in this territory. Are there any members of the board who wish to disclose a pecuniary interest?
Madam Mayor, Don Sinclair, on item 10.1, the closed session on the admin building, as my son's firm is involved in the planning function of that project.
Thank you, Don. Are there any other members? Seeing none, I need approval of the minutes of the meeting held on June 24th. Moved by Councillor Ainsley, seconded by Councillor Jackson. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. We have no delegations today and no presentations and no correspondence on the agenda, so I will move forward with the consent agenda. Items for the Board of Directors action under Section 1, 7.1, Peel Zero Emissions Vehicle Strategy Endorsement.
Just a quick question, comment.
That's Mayor Pellegrini. Okay, so we'll just hold it, okay? Just to get through the agenda. 7.2, endorsement of minimum access standards. 7.3, revised Regional Watershed Alliance membership composition. 7.4, update and progress report on municipal memorandums of understanding. 7.5, request for delegated authority. Seeing no holds for 7.2, 7.3, 7.4, 7.5. Moved by Dr. Han, seconded by Councillor Fonseca. All those in favor? That carries. Section 2, 8.1, annual capital plan for administrative building and public facilities. 8.2, 2021 summary of procurements report. 8.3, update on procurements approved under delegated authority. A mover, please, for 8.1 through to 8.3. Moved by Councillor Layton, seconded by Councillor Ash. All those in favor? That carries. Materials from the Executive Committee. Under Section 1, items for the board, 9.1.1, lease renewal, Jesuits of Canada. 9.1.2, lease renewal, Woodbridge Lions Club. 9.1.3, land lease renewal, David M. Stone.
Madam Chair,
Yes?
I'd like to pull 9.1 to 9.3 actually for a brief comment.
Okay. 9.1.4, donation of land, 5318 Old Rock Road, City of Pickering. 9.1.5, acquisition from 8831467 Canada Limited, City of Pickering. 9.1.6, 2022 mid-year grant program update. 9.1.7, 2022 updates to administrative bylaw.
I'd like to pull that one too, Madam Chair.
Okay. And 9.1.8, naming of the Dave Barrow Center of Conservation. I think we should hold that just to make a remark, so I will hold that myself. So can I have a mover for 9.1.4 through to 9.1.6? Moved by Mr. St. Clair, seconded by Councillor Dyes. All those in favor? That carries. Under Section 2, items for Executive Committee, 9.2.1, vendor of record for custodial supplies and equipment contract extension. Moved by Mayor Pellegrini, seconded by Dr. Hahn. All those in favor? Approved. Under Section 3, 9.3.1, 2022 insurance program update. 9.3.2, 2022 risk program update. A mover for both of those items, moved by Councillor Hyatt, seconded by Councillor Jackson. All those in favor? That carries. Section 4, Ontario Regulations 166-06 as amended. This is 9.4.1, Town of Caledon, the Gore Road from Patterson Side Road to Finnerty Side Road. 9.4.2, Town of Caledon, the Gore Road from Finnerty Side Road to Highway 9. 9.4.3, update on delegated major permits, July and August 2022. 9.4.4, standard delegated permits for receipt, staff approved and issued. Seeing new holds, can I have a mover, please, for 9.4.1 all the way through to 9.4.4? Moved by Councillor Pasternak, seconded by Basu. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. Item 9.5, September 9th, 2022 executive meeting closed session items. 9.5.1, 2022 litigation summary. Moved by Councillor Ash, seconded by Dr. Hahn. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. Under item 10, closed session, 10.1, Toronto and Region Conservation Authority's new administrative building project. Please note that Mr. St. Clair is not participating in this. Are there any holds for the project update? Can I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Ainsley, seconded by Vice Chair Heath. All those in favor? That carries. And I do have one item of new business. Are there any items of new business that the board wishes to bring forward? Councillor Jackson.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to request a report to the Executive Committee of next week. The matter would be Vaughan Official Plan 2010 Appeals, RISME/Milani. I can provide this all to the clerk later. The addresses are 11333 Dufferin Street, 11641 Dufferin Street, and 11490 Bathurst Street, Madam Chair. Staff is aware of this request that I'd be making this morning, and I would just like for them to provide me an update. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other items for new business? Maria, you're muted. Are you speaking to me? Still muted. We can't hear you at all. Can you hear us? Yeah, we can't hear anything that you're saying.
Yeah, Madam
Maybe-
Chair, this is Peruzza. It's fading in and out a little bit.
Okay, maybe, Maria, if you can hear us, could you just type something in the chat? And if there's an item to be held for new business, we'll add that to the end. Is there any other items? Okay, seeing none, then we will go back to the beginning for 7.1 Peel Zero Emissions Vehicle Strategy Endorsement. And this item was held by Mayor Pellegrini. Go ahead, Steve.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick, I fully endorse that. It's more about a promotion. When I read the report, they talked about the adoption of EVs as very poor. And this Sunday, for my friends from Peel, come on over to King. We have a Go Electric. All the owners of electric cars in King Township, bring them together for everybody to try. And you can actually speak to the owners. We've done this a year ago, and it was very successful because it gets rid of a lot of the hesitancy around driving an electric vehicle. So just a selfless promotion for King to say, come test them out Sunday from 11 till 4. Go electric.
Madam
Thank you.
Chair,
Yes, Vice Chair Heath.
thank you. And is that a 30-second advertisement for King there? Do we collect a fee for advertisements, Madam Chair? I look forward to it. I think what the mayor was talking about is excellent. I didn't know about it. What I'd like to do, I didn't get a chance. Unfortunately, I've had troubles with my regular computer tuning in, so I'm on my iPhone. But it really is great. I must add that your words are word for word at the bottom, which I don't get on the rest on my computer. So I can actually hear and exactly what's being said. I'd like to add a clause that says that we distribute the report to all the municipalities in the TRCA. I think it would incite a great deal of conversation. I want to congratulate Peel, but I think others, I think we should be, Peel's shown leadership as well as King. And I think we should have this kind of conversation in all the municipalities. Who knows what they'll come up with. So I'm sure that's friendly, but I'd like that.
So to the clerk, can we make an amendment where it says, and further that the board support in principle TRCA staff working to implement the Peel ZEV strategy actions along with other PCCP members and to distribute to all member municipalities within the TRCA's jurisdiction?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We will include that.
And that's the amendment is moved by Vice Chair Heath and seconded by Mayor Pellegrini. All those in favor of the amendment? Any opposed? That carries. Now back to the main motion as amended. Are there any further comments, questions? Seeing none, moved by Mayor Pellegrini, seconded by Vice Chair Heath. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Now move to items 9.1.1 through to 9.1.3, and this was held by Vice Chair Heath. Go ahead, Jack.
Thank you, and I support them. I have no problems with each of them. But one wonders, when three appear at one time, how many of these heritage leases are there out there? How many do we have? Some of them are significant in length, and so they would come here only the lease itself once every 5 or 10 or one number of years. So I'm asking John, our CEO, how many of these do we have? There's several characteristics. They're usually older. They're usually for $1 or $2 a year, and in my opinion, they may be on lands that today we might not lease, but we did back then. How many of these are there in existence?
Significantly, through the chair to vice chair, significantly fewer, with the transfer of a great deal of them to Parks Canada through that transfer. So I know that was a large transfer of properties. I'm looking at Alex and our team to get a specific number. We do still have associated with our properties in Peel, especially, where we have large tracts of holdings, and a few in York Region that I know you're aware of, some in Markham, for example, just east of 48 that we've been involved in, and things like that. We still have some, but you know, what we're trying to do obviously is look for adaptive reuses on them. But Alexandra, can you shed any light on that question by Vice Chair Heath?
Thanks, John. Through the chair, I actually don't have an exact number top of mind, but we can definitely report back on, if you're looking for ones that are actually designated heritage, we can report back on that.
Well, they're not really. The heritage has got a small h, Alexander.
Okay.
It is synonym for older, or things inherited from the past. Madam Chair, I'd like it.
Yeah, through the chair.
Sorry, yeah. John?
No, we do have, and I guess that's part of it, is that, you know, there's listed, provincially designated, and I think we could probably pull together an updated list for discussion at a future meeting, or we could circulate that to you once we compile it.
I'd like to have a discussion, at least for the board to understand. You know, the older leases we've inherited. I'm not objecting. I just think I'd like to know more about how many there are. You know, some of these date back to the 1970s. And I think it'd be best for the board to understand that, you know, how many leases there are, what kind of situations they involve. And I don't think there's any urgency, Madam Chair, and I'm not even sure we need a resolution, a recommendation with the commitment of John at some point in time. I might not be here. I don't know. I'm not running again, so I might not be here after February. But nevertheless, I would like to have that done if we could. Is that okay, John? Can we do that sometime?
Through the chair to Vice Chair Heath, yeah, we will do an updated inventory. And like I said, you know, with the conveyance, the transfer of lands to Parks Canada, that dealt with a number of them. So we can do an updated view of that. We absolutely have the listing of designated heritage properties, listed ones. Some of that, you know, I just want to make sure that we've got that. And again, some of these are just they're part of the older assemblages that came out in the 50s when the province was still actively supporting acquisition of land. And so those are properties that, you know, we inherited during the acquisition of the whole parcel, say, for example, around Glen Happy Conservation Area. And so we've been on a lot of these properties looking for the best way to move forward, taking into account, you know, the assets, and it's all part of the asset management planning as well. So I think perhaps building that into one of our upcoming reports that we plan to bring forward to the board about asset management planning, that might be the best way forward, just so we can categorize that and build that in to a report on our building inventory might be the best way forward. So Michael and I and Alex, we will make sure to include that information. But thanks for the suggestion.
Thank you. These are not, I stress, these aren't always buildings. I use the word heritage as something we've inherited rather than a heritage building that's 120 years old. So, and I don't think any of these would be the building per se. What they are small pockets of property that have been leased to this organization or that organization. They may not have buildings on them, but most of them, the two of them are quite old, and the other one is 15 years old. So I'd like to know more about them. I think the board should know more about them, so that we have a better understanding the older type of leases that we've inherited and have it, they're part of our assets anyway. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll move the three. There's three.
Thank you, Jack. And maybe as direction to staff, in the background of each of these reports, maybe just put that information in, because that will be a question that new board members will have, just to have an understanding, how many do we actually have, how many are we working with, and how far back did they date? That should be part of that background overall information. Are there any other questions or comments in regards to items 9.1.1 through to 9.1.3? Okay, can I have a moved by Vice Chair Heath, seconded by Mayor Pellegrini? All those in favor? That's carried. And I'm going to ask if we could go back to 8.2 because Ms. Keller couldn't unmute her microphone, so it was technical difficulties is the reason that we missed that one. And in fairness, in trying to navigate the virtual world, I think we'll go back to Ms. Keller if she can unmute herself. Or maybe she can't. No. We can't hear you, Maria. Maria? Maria, maybe try logging out of the meeting and coming back in, and we'll come back to you, if that's okay. 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 So moving forward, then the next item was 9.1.8, naming of, 9.1.7, the 2022 updates to administrative bylaw. That was held by Jack.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. I had troubles at the executive committee with the same issue. I couldn't get on my laptop, and I'm on my iPhone. And by the time I got on, this one had gone by. I had a great conversation last night with Michael Talensky about this and asked a few questions. And one of them did relate to the what is a quorum for the executive committee and the board meeting. And Michael talked to me about the 50% versus the municipal act was 50 plus 1, 50% plus 1. I didn't care about that. What I wanted to make sure, though, that there was no problem with identifying what is, when a motion comes to those two committees, the executive and the board, that it requires a majority, i.e. 50% of the members plus 1. I could not envision anyone who might think that, okay, that 50% is required for any motion. No, it would never pass. So I asked about that, and I also asked about maintaining that quorum, and he told me, and I would like to ask him if Michael could repeat the answer, because I thought it was very important. There's one or two other things I wanted to ask about. I think they've done a good job. Our staff have done a good job on this update, and I think we've got a very good administrative bylaw. But anyways, I'd like to ask Michael to reiterate just a little bit. I think it's important for the board.
Thank you. Go ahead, Michael.
Thanks, and through the chair, through the conversation last night, we were just discussing when we have our committees, then it's the majority of the attendance, and it's still covered within the subsections in the bylaw. And thank you so much to our clerk for helping me out with that.
That's good. One of the other things I asked about, I don't know whether there was conversation on this matter, but until we move into the new building, this is going to be very difficult. Members who want to go to the meetings in person have to bring an electronic device, a laptop or iPad, in order to participate in the meeting, so that everybody who is not at the meeting. Is there any way we can avoid that, like we have at our municipalities, where it's up on the screen, the pictures of the members? Is there any way? Because that's certainly it's going to encourage everyone until we move to the new building to stay at home or stay in their office rather than go to the meeting.
Thanks. And through the chair on that, in order for everyone to have their own square on the screen, we are asking people to bring in their own laptop, and if they require one at the office, we're able to provide some temporary loaners in the office. But otherwise, we have the one camera in the room, which is what we've been using in the past. And Jack, as we discussed, when we move to the new head office, we'll have the technology available to better adapt to this new hybrid world. But we definitely want to make the most of the technology that we currently have right now without spending a lot more in this office.
Okay. And the last question I asked about was, and Michael knows this one, Section C, meeting procedures, agenda for the Board of Directors meeting. And that says that the agenda is expected to be posted on the website no later than noon on the Monday prior to Friday meeting. And I recommend, Madam Chair, and maybe we don't look at it now with this change, but I recommend we go to the number of hours rather than days. If there ever is an emergency and we have to call a meeting on a Tuesday, Madam Chair, you have to call a meeting, which is your responsibility partly, then 72 hours. If it's an emergency, it wouldn't be 72 hours. But having the days of the week in there, presuming the meeting's on Friday, when it could be sometime on a Thursday or who knows, whatever, 72 hours or the number of hours rather than before the meeting starts, rather than the actual days, is recommended. And I know that that's exactly how it's stated, and certainly in ours, and I believe in York as well. Michael.
And through the chair, worked with the clerk last night on drafting some wording, and Joanne, if you wanted to put on the screen, just to make that friendly amendment to discuss by the Monday prior to a regularly scheduled meeting and 96 hours for unscheduled meetings, excluding the weekend holidays, office closures.
96, my mistake. Anyways, thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, so we're going to move to make that amendment, and moved by Vice Chair Heath, seconded by Mr. St. Clair. All those in favor? Are there any opposed? That's carried. Are there any other comments or questions in regards to items 9.1.7? Okay, so we'll move as amended, moved by Vice Chair Heath, seconded by Dr. Han. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. Item 9.1.8. I just wanted to hold, I'm sure everybody has heard the news and received their email from John about the passing of Dave. I was joined by Councillor Jackson and staff just a little over a week ago, where we did the renaming. Dave was there, which was great to see. And he actually got to see it and walk along that little part of the trail there. And was joined by family and friends and former colleagues, including Chair Emerson was there as well. So I just wanted to say that while we're all deeply saddened over the last couple of days with the news of Dave's passing, it was an honor and a pleasure and the right thing to do that we did it while he was with us and able to see the acknowledgement and the massive impact that he had left on Richmond Hill, but also on the TRCA board. And I'm just going to ask if there's any other members that wanted to ask any questions. Councillor DiPaolo.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. We're indebted and grateful to the TRCA for the dedication and the timely dedication that was made to Dave Barrow for his years of service to this board. It's a small consolation, but it was very, very nice that he and his wife were honored, just before his passing by the TRCA with this trail naming. And we also last week named the Young and Major Mackenzie 20 acres that the city owns as Dave Barrow Square. So our civic square is now called the Dave Barrow Square. And that was done while just last week he was there, seemed in good health, gave a great speech, and it's just so well attended and such an appropriate honoring of all he's done for Richmond Hill. And these two opportunities to recognize his contribution to the Richmond Hill community, to the TRCA. Just couldn't have been timed better. No one would have thought that we'd get this news that we've just got yesterday. But I'm on behalf of Richmond Hill and Richmond Hill Council, we're grateful to the TRCA for this recognition.
Thank you. Are there any other members who wish to speak? So that item 9.1.8, naming of the Dave Barrow Center for Conservation, moved by Councillor Jackson, seconded by Councillor DiPaolo. All those in favor? Any opposed?
Madam Chair, my apologies. I was trying to jump. Can I have a recorded vote on that, please?
Absolutely. I will turn it over to Ms. Hyde for a recorded vote.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Recorded vote was requested by Councillor Jackson. Ainsley? Ainsley? Don't know if we've lost him. Ash?
Yes.
Thank you. Carol has submitted regrets. Damerla?
Yes.
Thank you. Dies?
Yes.
DePaula?
Great. Yes.
Thank you. Fletcher has submitted regrets. Fonseca?
Yes.
Grimes has submitted regrets. Hahn?
Yes.
Heath?
Yes.
Hyatt?
Yes.
Innes?
Yes.
Jackson?
Yes.
Kelleher?
Yes.
Thank you. Layton?
Yes.
Mantis has sent regrets. Matlow?
Yes. Excuse me. Yes.
Mukherjee? Mukherjee? Okay. Kaleshi has submitted regrets. Pasternak?
Yes.
Thank you. Pellegrini?
Yes.
Peruzza?
Yes.
Okay. Rosati has sent regrets. Santos? Santos? Sinclair?
Yes.
And Tang has sent in regrets. Thank you.
Thank you. And the record shows that it's unanimous by those that were present. Maria, is your sound working? Do you want to try?
I think so.
Oh, perfect. Okay, let's go back. You can ask questions in regards to 8.2.
It's a fairly quick question. I just went through the I think it's 8.2. It's the summary of procurements, and I looked at some of the list of the total vendors who I suppose got the package and then how many responded. And in some cases, there was just one response, and it was, if it was less than a certain amount, I wasn't that curious about it. But when it was more than a certain amount, I sort of thought, gosh, it's interesting. A bunch of people were interested, but only one submitted a bid. So one of the examples is the virtual public open house where AECOM was the only one who submitted, or in the new TRCA, there was only one submission for the information technology. And there's a few more, a few related to the Ashbridges Bay project, which I know when I asked before, it was usually because someone was all geared up already, so it was easy for them to do the job. But for one of the Ashbridges Bay, Headland 2 and 3, 25 people got the package and only one responded. Same with another project in Ashbridges Bay. So I'm sure there's an explanation. So I just wanted to ask staff when that happens, which there's 10 or 12 examples here. Can someone explain to me why that happens? I'm sure there's an explanation. I just couldn't figure out what it would be. That was my question.
Absolutely. Through the chair, I'll start off with that. Normally, the amount of people that pull off the RFP online, it's not necessarily vendor specific for what we're looking for. Sometimes it's other organizations that are looking to copy an RFP for themselves in the future. So that somewhat skews the numbers. In terms of COVID impacting availability of staff with vendors. Sometimes that impacted their desire to respond to an RFP. And like you said, sometimes just vendors are in the right place at the right time, have what they need in order to complete the work. And so they are more likely to respond to it. When we only do have one or few vendors responding, we're always doing our assessment as to the costs and whether it makes sense to proceed with that vendor in that situation. So we do have controls that are mitigating any sort of risk when we have a small number of vendors responding.
Okay, thank you. That's fine, Madam Chair.
Thank you. So that one's already been. And then you had questions in regards to item 10.1 and just asking for an update. I think that if we are going to go through with the update, given what is in the in-camera information, I would suggest that we do go in camera to have that quick update. So because you're on hold, I'm going to ask that the Board of Directors move into closed section pursuant to section C.4.E of the TRCA Board of Directors Administrative Bylaw as subject matter consists of litigation or potential litigation affecting the TRCA. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor Jackson, seconded by Ms. Keller. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. So just give us 1 second when we move in camera. Okay, thank you. Is that good, Councillor Jackson? Good, perfect. Lastly, I just wanted to take this opportunity to recognize one of our outgoing board members today, Dr. Chopwick. Ron was first appointed to the TRCA's Board of Directors as a City of Toronto citizen representative from October the 25th, 2011 to July 9th, 2015. And after a brief hiatus, he was reappointed on May 5th, 2016, and has served the board until August the 24th, 2022 of this year. Dr. Chopwick was also elected as a City of Toronto representative on the Executive Committee. He was awarded a gold pin in 2016 and will be presented with a lifetime pass to TRCA Properties for completing over 10 years of service on the TRCA's Board of Directors at the 2023 Annual General Meeting. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank him for his hard work and valuable contributions during his appointment on the TRCA. We have all appreciated the time, commitment, and expertise he has given to our organization and are grateful for his continued support of the TRCA's priorities and events. On behalf of the TRCA board and staff, we thank Dr. Chopwick for his years of service, and we wish him all the very best as he adjusts to his new community. Wonderful. And are there any other comments or questions? So that would conclude our September 23rd, 2022 Board of Directors meeting, and I need a motion to adjourn. Normally, I don't see him on my screen. Anthony, are you there? I don't hear him. So,
Anthony is here, and I'm happy to move that, okay?
thank you. Adjournment moved by Councillor Prusa. All those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. Have a happy Friday, everyone.